Yes, indeed. Live and direct out of Zimbabwe, Africa. That was a beautiful song. Listen, Africa has some great, great, great reggae music right now. I mean, when Jamaican artists go to Africa, I mean, it's 40 and 50,000 people coming out to see them. It's amazing. Gambia, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and Zimbabwe represented. Right. Definitely. So that was T-Ban C representing right there.
Oh, you're checking me?
Go
I
ahead.
knew I wasn't on.
You sounded low. Go ahead. You're up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and introduce our guests. Tonight we have Detective Weber from the DeKalb Police Department. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good.
Great.
You can hear her?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we've been talking, and I've been very, very interested in the sex trafficking that's going on in Atlanta because it's apparently we're up top.
Yes,
We're up top.
According to the FBI, Atlanta is number one.
Ooh.
Number one city in sex trafficking.
The number one city in the United States for sex trafficking.
Wow.
Wow.
And one of the reasons why that is because there's so many highways and so many different ways that you can get in and out of Atlanta. So you got 20, of course, 285 is the Beltway, but basically
You can
you can still maneuver 75 to 85. You can get to so many different places in the United States: Texas, Alabama, which is right next door, Florida, South Carolina. It's so many different ways that you can get there. And also, it's also big for drugs and guns. That's why when you hear on the radio, when they have, or on television, oh, we're having a gun show. A lot of people from up north, where I'm originally from, a lot of people from up north and other places will come to Georgia and purchase large amounts of guns. And then they disperse them throughout all over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then of course we have the busiest airport in the world. So
Yes.
other
Absolutely.
people coming through.
And surprisingly, even though there's a lot of signs and such for human trafficking, usually the ones who are coming through the airport are ones from other countries. Usually right here, it's the little girl that's going to the elementary school. It's the little boy that's going to the middle school, or the young lady from high school. So it's not always someone that's being brought into the country unless it's for labor, which is part of human trafficking other than sex trafficking.
I was going to say, let's elaborate what exactly is sex trafficking.
Okay, sex trafficking is the procurement or acquiring a child, which would be child exploitation. For human trafficking, it would be an adult. So in the state of Georgia, I could read the exact terminology for the law. And exactly, it's like causing or threatening to cause bodily harm to any person, physically restraining them, confining a person, or threatening physically to confine a person. So coercion is, let's say, for instance, I say to you, hey, I'm going to go ahead and get your hair and your nails done. Once I get your hair and your nails done, just come on and hang out with me. You go, okay, that sounds like a plan, because my mom and my dad can't get my hair done or my nails done. So after you go and get your hair and your nails done, oh, come on, let's go out and eat something. What these kids know, all they know is McDonald's. So they'll just go and take them to McDonald's or something like Popeyes. That's great, because I don't get to go with my parents. The next thing is, oh, can you do me a favor? I need you to come out with me and dance for a little while. The dancing turns into something more.
Right.
And when the young lady or whomever says, oh, hey, I don't want to do that. Oh, but I got your hair done.
Yeah,
I got your nails done, so you owe me. So that's a way of coercing them to do what they want them to do. And it's not always physical. You know, it's not always the, as we like to say, it's an old saying actually, the gorilla pimp, which is the one who beats down the young lady or the young man and tells them this is what they have to do in order to make money for them.
Right.
You also have someone who's very smooth and very slick, who they will also call the Romeo pimp. It's
Yeah.
like, hey girl, you know, you look good. I like them nails. And they get to them like that. Oh, you look real good. And then they may have sex with them. Now he's her boyfriend.
Mm.
And I'm
then
using air quotes for the
Right,
boyfriend.
right.
Because obviously he's too old. Now he's a boyfriend. So then again, here comes the coercion. Oh, you know, you think you could do this for me? I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
if you
somehow he
love me.
finds
But
a
if
way.
you really love
Yeah,
me,
but if you
you
love
would do
you
this or
really
something.
love them,
Right.
Yes.
and that's usually what happens. And again, you know, these are young girls, and don't sleep because the young boys get caught out there too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's their minds aren't developed to the point where they're able to make a decision and say, yeah, I can go ahead and do it. That's why the laws are there to protect them.
Right.
Right. Wow.
So yeah, it's a lot.
And these guys are really, really slick. I mean, it's a sociology, psychology class. Like they get into the head.
The
Because I've
heads.
always wondered this whole thing about a pimp.
Why a person
Like,
won't
why
leave.
would, yeah, just why you want to stay
Yeah.
in that situation? But
It's
it's so
manipulation.
deep. Yeah, the manipulation is so deep. Like the masters of
Oh,
people's minds.
absolutely, absolutely. And you use the best word that's out there, manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
They manipulate these young men and young women. They manipulate their minds. And it all starts with, you know, hey, how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the hey, how you doing goes on social media. When I go to the schools and I ask the kids, how many of you have a Instagram account?
Oh Lord,
A bunch
everybody.
of hands go up.
Everybody.
Right.
Everybody. Oh, how many of you use Snapchat? A bunch of them. How many of you get messages from people that you don't know? A bunch of them still raise their hands.
Yeah.
So when I ask, what do you do when you get these messages from people that you don't know? Some say they ignore it. Some say, oh, I'll tell them not to bother me, or I'll say, so what you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And then the conversation leads to one thing to the next, and then now we're exchanging information.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving you information, and when I mean I as the student, I'm giving you information on myself, my family, where I live, and you'd be
Where you live,
amazed
yes.
the stuff that these kids tell other people so freely.
Right. Right.
And you know, I just
And so I'm not a big fan of these social medias when it comes to kids, and I monitor them a lot. My kids think I'm the police because I want to know everybody's
Good.
password.
That's a
Good.
good. That's a good thing.
And every time they have a phone and I see you getting too comfortable, let me see your phone real quick.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, but Mom, no, I need to know
Yeah.
why you so comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I always say that I will discipline my child before a police officer or a judge
Right.
ever thinks
And,
they
and that's
have
how
to.
I feel.
You know?
Well, thank you for that, because that saves us a lot.
Right.
Paperwork, doing all the hard work, that
Yeah.
saves us a lot. And if we had more parents that weren't, and I don't want to say parents that are helicopter parents who are always hovering over their kids. That's not what I'm saying at all. Just pay attention
Yeah.
to what's
Yeah.
going on. You have parents out here who don't know who their children's friends are.
Right. 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 Right.
And it's just like, and I understand a lot of parents, they work hard, and they cannot, it's a lot to keep up with, especially when you have multiple children. So I just ask, just please grab a hold of your children, tell them how much you love them, and let them know how much they're loved. Yes, discipline them when necessary, but you have, especially these young women, because
Yeah, because they're
everything that's
seeking it
out there,
elsewhere.
yes,
Mhm.
and that
I've
is
noticed
a
that.
huge thing. That is a huge thing.
And it's not only important to talk to your kids, but let your kids talk to you.
Yes.
You know, I grew up in a time when, you know, children were to be seen and not heard. And you don't know, with so many external influences now,
Mhm.
you know, especially that phone, that everything is there. You have more technology, access to more information in your palm of your hand than the astronauts had when they landed on the moon. Right? Up there, they had to figure it all out, do it by longhand math and all that stuff, right? But everything is right there. So that's a very powerful tool, and people and other images and things are reaching your kids. So you have to get into have them taught and let you know, hear what they're saying. What are they seeing? What's going on in their world? Let them have a voice. It's so important, because when, and it's a line, but if your kid can grow up and feel comfortable enough to talk to you like a friend, then you're in a very good position there.
Correct.
Because they may want to and need to speak to, but they don't even know how to approach mom or dad about it.
Well, I will say this, and this is what I've always said to my kids, because like you, I am old school. I'm not your friend. I'm your mother. And when we need to talk about certain things, absolutely, we can talk. Just remember who you're talking to.
Right.
When you say certain things, because sometimes these kids, they'll get a little lax and they forget who they're talking to. So you have to throw that in there. Remember who you're talking to, but you can speak freely and talk to me about certain things.
Right.
And I agree with you. That is definitely important. But human trafficking here in Atlanta, it's out of control. I will tell you, I was so happy. I literally was doing cartwheels when I found out that they shut down Backpage. I was so happy, because that's just one less thing that we as law enforcement have to worry about in reference to us looking at different things for our kids being posted online.
Right.
But these traffickers, they're very savvy. Just like these kids are very savvy, and they'll find another way or a different outlet to post, to take pictures. And when they see all of these things going on, they're like, oh, I want to do that. Oh, that's cool. And the pimps, they know how to attract these kids and what to get out of them. But just to give y'all a little bit of some statistics in Atlanta, human trafficking is a $32 billion industry.
Whoa, billion.
Wow. Okay. Between 200 to 400 young ladies and young boys are being sold online every day. 65% of the men that are making these purchases are usually out in suburbia.
Not who you usually think is the bad guy, right?
No, it's usually not the bad guy, but these are the ones that are purchasing our children. They live in suburbia, outside of maybe 285, 85. They live in that area. Now, this is just for Atlanta. So the pimps or the traffickers, depending on where they are and what they're doing and how many young ladies they have or young men, they can make anywhere from $200 to $400 per session.
Jeez.
So that amounts to probably about, it could average $33,000 in a week.
Wow. And this is from one person that
This is one person who may have more than one young lady available to them.
That's crazy.
It's about, I would say those men that are out in suburbia, it's 7,200 men that are purchasing these young ladies. Out of that, you got to figure it's probably about 87,000 different sex acts that are going on, because they're paying for each one.
Wow.
And usually a lot of these children are enrolled in school.
So
they're enrolled in school. So let me give you an example. Has anyone here ever taken Lyft or Uber?
Actually, I've never.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan, but
Okay. Do you know that some of these kids get picked up and dropped off when they're done with the sex act? Did you also know that Uber is not supposed to pick up children in their vehicles unless they're accompanied by an adult?
But it's still happening.
But it still happens at the high schools, at the middle schools. So when I see it, every chance I get, I go, "Excuse me, where's your parent? Who's supposed to be here with you?" "Oh no, sir, no, ma'am. You will get picked up. You can stay right here, and your parent could come and pick you up." And I understand it's a convenient thing because some parents aren't able to maneuver it in that way. But this is your child.
Right, right.
You don't know what's going to happen.
I had a parent ask me to allow my daughter to take a lift home from her house because they were going to the mall. And I was like, well, I'm going out of town. I'm not going to be back in time. I said, she's not going to make it to the mall. And she's like, no, I need her to go so they can all hang together. And I'm like, you're not understanding me. I'm not comfortable with putting my child in a lift going anywhere. She's like, yeah, but there's more than one of them. I don't give a damn how many of them.
I agree. But it still happens. And again, as a parent, even as an officer, we can't be everywhere.
Right.
And we try to do the best that we can as parents, as law enforcement. But it's difficult. And every time technology finds a way to advance, the laws are slow to move to make things a lot easier for us to catch these people.
Right, right.
And by the way, the average age of a young man or young woman to be trafficked is 11 to 14.
Wow. I mean, the stats are just blowing my mind right now. This is a crisis.
It is. It is a crisis, and there's a lot that's going on with our kids between the cell phones and peer pressure. That's another thing. These cell phones and cyberbullying never shuts off. Y'all remember when we was in school? If someone was to bully you, you got to go home,
Right.
relax, and chill, and just
you got a little time out from
you have some time to just be a kid and just get away from whoever this person was that was bullying you.
Right.
Not now.
Right, right.
Because all they have to do
home.
is open up their phone and see all the comments that are being made by classmates, people who claim that they're your friends and they're not.
Right,
and these are all the things that I listen to when I have these kids in my, when I have the kids in the classroom, they're all telling me it doesn't stop. So I use the words that my son said, well, there's an off button.
Your son is
There's
brilliant.
An off button.
Brilliant.
Turn it off.
Exactly. But that's the thing. They feel so attached to social media. It is a part of their identities now, because a lot of people don't even express their full selves in person, but they'll turn around and in the phone, that's where they'll let it out, and show you who they really are or who they're pretending to be.
Thank you for saying that, pretending to be, because a lot of people do hide behind these tweets, comments on Facebook and so forth. Everybody hides behind that. And wasn't anything that we had growing up. So sometimes it's a little difficult to talk to your children about these things because
you're not familiar with it.
Right.
You're not. And then you're trying to explain to them, listen, don't worry about what they say. It doesn't define who you are. And they're looking at you all crazy, talking about, I'm gonna have to see this person.
Yeah, right. This is my world. Like this is what
it is. Yeah. And a lot of our kids are really sensitive.
Man, even the boys, they are ridiculously sensitive.
Well, this is a generation. There's so much hot button issues that when I was growing up, it was just as regular. It wasn't, and there's an oversensitivity, I believe, right now to certain things, and it's making our kids, I would say, a little more docile and making them a little bit more defenseless because you've always been there. I have a mentor who walked in the marches during the 60s and was out there protesting and doing all this, right? He's an attorney and his wife and they're very well off now and very established. And, we had a conversation about his issues with having his son go and protest and do certain things. But hold on, that's what you did. you turned out great.
But it was a little bit different.
He's like, well, I did it so they don't have to.
Right.
But you've now created an environment where everything that helped to make you who you are You moved your kid out of that neighborhood, right, to the good neighborhood.
Right,
You've
and they
done
go right back.
this, you've done that, all these things, and saying that, but those were the things that created who you are. Like, I'm coming from that generation where I know in Jamaica, power God, that don't stop a thing. You know how to wash your clothes by hand, hang
Right.
it out on the line, let the sun put it on a hanger, and the sun will press it like, without a, there's still ways to survive the world without the technology, without the electricity, and all these things. And nowadays, like, kids would drop, if the power goes off,
Oh, they die.
they can't even cook food or something for themselves.
What am I gonna do?
Right.
What am I gonna do? Mom, can I go to the car and charge my phone?
Mhm.
What you need your phone for?
Right.
The power is out.
Look, power went out one day. I told my kids, we playing, that game back in Jamaica, boy, girl. Y'all go get some paper. We playing a game.
Yeah.
I was like,
Board games
we ain't doing that.
are still good. We just talked about the chess champion, the young man, 8 years,
Right.
was it, eighth grade?
Yeah, he was 8 years old.
8 years old, and winning the chess championship and create a situation where his family's out of poverty now, not living in
outlets and
shelters.
places to express themselves. And I've realized that a lot of them, so when somebody go to them and say, "Oh, I can do this for you," or whatever, they are eager.
Exactly.
They are.
And that's the biggest thing that I like to tell my parents is that, you do have to explain to them there are things out there. You may not believe it, but there are things out there. And even when I go to the schools and I talk to the kids about human trafficking and about certain situations where the cases have been adjudicated and I can speak about them, they're looking at me like, why would that's dumb. Like, why would she do that? Why would he do that? You would be so surprised.
Yes.
Because trust me when I tell you, I believe that certain faith,
not my
it's
child.
not my child. However, I had a situation where I was very familiar with this young woman, and she did the exact thing that her parents said that she would not do.
Right.
And then I had to go out there and find her.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So, like you said, you have to listen to them. You have to listen to them because there could be things going on. And even if it's not you that they want to talk to, because I can honestly tell you, there are kids that will tell me, I don't want to talk to my mom. I don't want to talk to my dad. Well, why you don't want to talk to them? Because you're telling me everything. Because and I'm telling them the same, how they say somebody else will tell you the same exact thing, but it sounds different.
Yeah.
I'm saying the same exact thing to them. And they're going, oh, well, that makes sense.
Right.
Didn't your mama just tell you this?
I get that all the time. I get that all the time because apparently it's better when it comes from you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Not even so much from me, but
somebody else.
Anybody else but mom and dad.
Right.
Because I really don't want to hear it from them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reaction that I get. So sometimes when class is over, I get a lot of information from these kids.
Yeah.
Oh, I get plenty.
Yes. So you know what I'm talking about.
Some days I'm like,
lot.
don't tell me that because I have to report that. Yeah.
Right.
You get
and I don't mind. And there are times when I'll even refer certain students to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta because I still have a rapport with them from bringing cases from the past. And they're like, sure, we'll go ahead and see what we can provide for them, whether it's free or low cost.
Right.
So it's a lot. It is. It's a lot. We wear a lot of hats.
Indeed. Now, Detective Weber, what would you say are the main signs that we should be looking out for in terms of sex trafficking and things that we're seeing that might not look right, and that we should then, and how should one step forward when you see that?
Right.
Do you approach the person yourself? Do you call the authorities first? What do you do?
Well, if you see something in the street that doesn't look right, i.e., you see a young man that is either well dressed or maybe not, because a lot of these pimps don't dress that well.
Mm-hmm.
And you see a young lady, she looks very young. They don't look alike. She looks like she's scared to death.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell.
Mm-hmm.
Call 911.
Just you see, just call 911.
Just call.
It's better to be safe than sorry if it's not a problem.
Or if sometimes they're walking in the street with bags,
mm-hmm.
that might be a sign that they're moving from one hotel to another.
Gotcha.
So call.
Right.
Okay. Another thing is, and this might be for you as well, in the schools. If you see a child's demeanor totally change over
Something's
time
wrong.
from what has been going on, and you don't know what, you may not know what's exactly going on in their household, talk to that child. Find out what's going on. It may not be human trafficking, but they might be abused or sexually
Yeah.
abused in the home or within their family.
Mm.
So those are the things that you can look for. Again, you see this child looks just disheveled, just a little bit, looks disoriented, always putting their head down where they weren't doing that before. Talk to them. On the flip side of that, you have a child that used to be a little mousy
Quiet.
and quiet. Now their hair's done. Then now, unless their parents hit the lottery or they came into my family died or
Right.
came into some money or something like
Right.
that, and you don't know about it, I would start asking questions.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different ways that you could look
And
at
they
this.
also act out. They act
do
out.
act out. They act out in many different ways. And when you see them coming in with something new, you've never seen them like that before. Their hair is a little different, and they weren't doing this before. You don't have a job. What's going on?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And just start talking to them and just ask.
The biggest thing is to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Which a lot of people don't do. You know,
Right, that's
we're
why I
all
said
about our
pay
business moving
attention.
so quickly, so fast. But with the stats, that I'm just still blown away. just I mean, you said 7,000 dudes are out here
Yeah.
in you know. So there's people you're passing
7,200.
every day. There's no way that you're not. I mean, it's 7,000 people.
These are men with families. These are men who may possibly have children of their own.
Mm.
And this is what they're doing.
We just had the Super Bowl sting.
Yes.
They're putting in for rest.
There were plenty of arrests in Atlanta area, and a lot of them in different counties.
Mm-hmm.
And what we like to do is we like to have a joint meeting with other agencies, and we talk to them about different strategies that would help us get to these men and women and then the children. And please do not think for 1 minute I have arrested female pimps.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
With children, with their own children. Not per se selling their own children, because I ran into that as well, but someone else's child.
Wow.
I tell you.
See why it's not safe. I don't send my kids to sleepovers.
Mm-mm.
They be like, Mama, can I? No.
Mm-mm.
Go sleep upstairs.
Right.
You know, it's sad I have to be like that, but
it's for your child's safety. You don't want them to be exposed to anything. And then here's another thing. I may know their friend or I may know the parent, but I don't know who else is in this house.
Right. Right.
And that's what I always say. I don't know who else.
Because you might know the mother, but you don't know the mother's boyfriend, who she just met 2 weeks ago.
And
now
I was about to say, most
time.
times it'll be the mother's boyfriend. That's the issue.
Right.
I've seen that way too many times. And mom's boyfriend bashed his head in. Mom's boyfriend was raping. I'm just like, chick, what were you doing?
Oh, there's a lot of interfamily sexual abuse that goes on. And I just want to make it clear. A lot of not all of the victims involved in CSEC or child exploitation or human trafficking have been sexually abused. Not all of them have. Some of them may have a history of it, but not all of them.
Right.
Not all of them do. Some of them are just vulnerable, and the situation comes up where they don't feel good about themselves. And no one has ever said to them, you know, you're my child. I admire you. I love you. I want the best for you. Some parents aren't capable of doing that, and they seek that someplace else.
Yes,
so when they look on their phone and they say, "Hi, how are you?" and that's all it takes.
Right.
That's all it takes. It's a slow process of grooming and finessing some of these kids, but sometimes that's all it takes. Like I said, something as simple as going to McDonald's, getting their hair done.
Yeah. I remember back in the day, after school special, that had they were breaking down what a stranger is, and a stranger is never how you describe it to the kid, you know. So the person always, like you said, well dressed, looks neat, clean, and the tactic that this guy was doing, it was just set up because the parents were sure my kid will never go off with anybody, right? So they're watching behind the hidden camera, and the guy goes up and he says, "Hey, my puppy is in the back of my car. It went under the seat, and my hands are too big to reach under there. Would you get in the back of my car and just reach under and pull my puppy out for me?" And you see the parents start crying as they see their little kid go around the fence, go and get into the one after the other after the other. It blew their minds because they thought, these were parents who
Yeah.
thought that they had properly
Yep.
prepared them for that situation. But once again, they did it in a way where the person's going to look like the villain,
Right.
you know, and that's not how the bad guy really looks.
Right. And the bad guy you don't always see nowadays because of technology.
There too.
So you have people that are setting up fake accounts,
Yes.
acting as if they are the same age as the child they're trying to get a hold of.
Right.
And then there's that. So
Yeah.
it's not always, and a lot of people seem to this day, they still believe that, oh, we just run up and snatch you off the street. No, that's not how it works.
Yep,
That's not how it always
yep,
works.
yep. They lure them away. They
Right.
and
With
they're
the
ones doing
puppy.
this. Yeah. Mhm.
With the puppy. So it's not always that. And there's a lot of facets to human trafficking, CSAC, and all of that. It's a lot. And sometimes, most of the times, these young women don't even realize that they're victims.
Nah.
When I interview them, when I tell you, sometimes it takes me a little bit to build that rapport because first they're angry and they're embarrassed. And of course, the pimp probably told them, you know, they'll never believe you, and I got your back, and don't worry about the
Right.
police. And
Yeah,
the police, all they're going to do is send you back to, like, all of these things that they're telling them to get them on their side. And then after a while, it takes you a little while to talk to them. They start to talk
Right.
and they start to tell you what's
And
going
then
on.
there's Stockholm syndrome,
Absolutely.
where the victim then becomes protective of their
the
abductor or their abuser, and sees a sense of whatever with that person, and don't see themselves as a
Right.
victim anymore.
And you took the words right out of my mouth. That Stockholm syndrome is very serious, and a lot of people are, again, that don't make sense. That these are the
Right.
kids.
Why they
That's
won't
dumb.
leave?
Why they just won't leave?
Right.
It's just as it's like battered woman
Wives,
syndrome.
yeah.
It's the same.
It's a
thing.
survival mechanism.
Right.
You flip into this thing of, you know what, I'd
If I
rather
do
play
this,
nice and
right.
be good so that I don't get the beating anymore or whatever it
Right.
is. And
Exactly. And then he won't bother me.
Yeah.
He'll probably go and get somebody else or something like that. It's
yeah.
it's a lot. And they do not believe that they're victims. Some of these young ladies, they're like, yeah, I get my hair done, I get my nails done, I can do whatever. They do not believe that they're victims.
Right.
And once you start talking to them and they start to see the light, they start to talk.
Right.
And then they start to tell you about their experience. And when I tell you it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot that some of these young ladies go through. And young men.
Wow.
Yeah, Empress Lounge Show, y'all. We're live on DWC Radio, OneRadio.link, and Industry Rock Radio. I know it's heavy conversation right now, heavy subject matter, but it's so vital and so
Yeah,
important.
it's very important, and that's one of the reasons why I reached out, because I feel like we're not educating our kids enough for them to understand that it can happen to you. You know, they like to, I'm stepping outside, or my mom will know where I'm at later on. I'm like, you can't do that.
Listen, I couldn't leave the house without my mother. I think she said, I need to know what you're wearing. Right? It was like, no, if I hear on the news, so-and-so is found in the corner and has a red shirt on, and she said, I don't want to think, oh my gosh, I want to know, okay, no, he had on a white shirt, that's not, right? So that was just her main thing. It was just, she wasn't really critiquing how we were dressed, but just, I need to know what you have on.
That's smart.
Just little things like that.
Yeah, that's smart of your mom to do that back then. A lot of these, I can't even tell you sometimes, missing person, missing child. What was the child wearing?
Can't,
I don't know.
right.
They
Yeah,
cannot
a lot
tell
of my
you.
kids come to school and their parents didn't see them leave the house.
Exactly.
They don't know what they look like walking out.
I sent them to school. He got on a school bus, but I don't know what he was wearing.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's that's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
Come
it's
on.
crazy.
You know,
Crazy.
another thing she also did was ensure my brother and I knew that she is never ever sending anyone to pick us up from school.
Right.
Like if you will know in advance, but so and so should not pop up
Right.
at school and say that. Yeah, mom said she made that very clear.
Exactly. Exactly. And it should be. And people, as you know, parents, they should have rules in place. They should have guidelines in place. You're not going with this person. You don't see this person, like you said. What are you wearing? Because that's funny that you used to say that, because we would have to lay out our clothes the night before we went to school. Yeah, we lay out our clothes so your parents know exactly what you're wearing when you leave the house.
Yeah.
So I don't
A lot of them don't know
know.
because when they come to school in the wrong clothes and I have to call parents, I'm like, yeah, this one came in the leggings. This one's got on their night clothes. They don't know where they came out the door.
No, they don't.
In
Or
their
they might have them in the bag.
night clothes.
Oh yeah, they'll
Yeah,
try to come in their
pajamas.
pajamas.
You know what? So I have a real big thing about that, especially when I see black kids doing it. I was like, yo, bro, there's no situation when you're out in public that a black man can be that comfortable to be in your house clothes, your pajamas. We don't have that luxury.
No,
We don't have that luxury.
But I see it, and I do notice that the principal or the AP will send them home.
Today I had about 4 ladies in my room with leggings. And I had to ask them, I said, I'm just kind of curious. You thought that was okay? And I like to paint a picture for them. So I tell them, I said, you do know when you walk down the hall, your ass is jiggling. And I'm very like straightforward. And then they look at me like, you didn't know that?
Of course they did. That's why they wore it.
Right.
And then I said, I tell you what, next time I give you one of my pants, and I bet you won't do that again.
Because in their mind, I just want to be comfortable. They're not thinking about that.
They're not. And I've realized that because I'm telling you, once I say it, they're looking at me like, oh. And I have to be like, are you serious?
Yeah, this is a world where, for children, they're never going to see the dangers, offhand. There's, and even when you point out the danger, right? We've all been told, don't put your hand there, you're going to get burned. Each one of us got burned, right? Everybody touched that stove, everybody face. So there's certain lessons that, kids have to learn the hard way, but there's certain that you don't want to have to learn the hard way. Kids,
you don't.
Yeah.
And it's best to just keep telling them. And again, if they're not listening to you as the parent, find somebody else that they're close with, an auntie, cousin, someone that might be a little bit older they look up to. Have them have the conversation with them, because again, we don't know what we're talking about.
And just like you said, reinforcement.
Yes.
Don't have the conversation once, have it again, and have it again, and
necessary.
have it again. They need that. Things start to slide over.
Exactly.
Then you gotta,
Exactly. So as much as you can. If not you, I know you tired of talking to me. I know you tired of hearing my voice, but I'm gonna fix that. Wait until someone else that they're close to and just let them keep talking.
Right.
The same thing like homework. Reinforcing the same thing that you learned in school and vice versa.
Right. Yep.
Just keep doing it.
Yep.
They'll get it.
Yep.
Like, oh, I'm so tired. And I like to tell them, you ever get that feeling in the pit of your stomach when you know something is not right? Listen to that and trust that. That is your intuition telling you, your gut feeling exactly is telling you, you should not be doing this.
Right.
Don't go along to get along.
Yes.
And I tell my kids all the time, don't go along to get along.
Yeah.
Be an individual, because that's how God made you.
And that's so hard for them, because in that age group, that teen group, their peers are the most important thing.
Absolutely.
Not being an outcast and not being accepted into the group is so vital to them.
Absolutely.
But it is because I always knew, oh no, okay, y'all about to go do that. All right, this is where I gotta go inside.
Yeah.
I had that thing of, I was able to go inside and play with my friends and do this, and some of them
But a
were
lot
into
of
some
kids are
other
not
stuff.
like that.
And I always, at least for me, I was able to know where my borderline was, because I believed my mom when she said she would kill me.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
100%
Exactly.
believed that was what happened.
Exactly. And I think, again, we all did, because I know I did. My mom said, "Oh no, I will kill you, or I'm gonna break a body part off of you." Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But a lot of them don't even have that kind of fear, though.
They don't. You calling us for that? We get the phone calls. Yeah.
That's the remedy
Yeah.
for it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or they won't listen to me. I've done everything that I can, and they still won't do what I asked them to do.
Mhm.
What am I, as a police officer, who this kid doesn't know me or anything about? The first thing they're gonna do is say, "Oh yeah, you call the police. What they gonna do?"
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep.
Just like when you say, I'm gonna call your mama, what she gonna
What's
do?
she gonna do?
Mhm.
And one of the
Accountability has
things,
got to be somewhere. And
exactly.
you got to teach them early too, because that is not something that's easily when you're accustomed to having your way,
Right.
free run.
And I think that's why a lot of them are, caught up into the trafficking, is because they don't feel they have to listen to anybody else. They want to do things their way.
You'd be amazed that after you break down those barriers of the Stockholm syndrome, the I don't know what he's going to do to me if I talk to this police officer or detective. They don't understand. Once you break down all of those barriers and you start to see, then it's like, oh, they do understand and they do have my back.
Right.
And they really are trying to help me. And the other thing in DeKalb County, I don't know if you all know this, there's no shelters in DeKalb County.
Did not realize that at all.
There are no shelters in DeKalb County.
Hmm.
There's not even places for the young men and the young women to go to if, let's say, for instance, they ran away from home. It's the streets.
Right.
And within 48 hours, they could be picked up by someone that's like, "Hey, you need a place to stay?
Yeah.
How you hungry? You want something to eat? Come on over here. I got you."
Right. That's it. And then the story never ends well.
Yeah.
Boy, I commend you for the work that you do. We were speaking earlier before you came in, and I said, there's a lack of community policing where the police officers don't know the members of the community, and the community doesn't know that officer. It's only when they pull up in the cruiser and everybody's a bad guy at that point. Whatever. It's not a situation where back in the day, police officer would say, "Johnny, I know your mom. Stop doing that. Get inside." And it did not lead to an altercation, an arrest, a shooting. It was because you knew really who this individual is, and you're better than that. Stop misbehaving.
Right.
And I would agree with you with that. That's why we have the Police Athletic League. Being from New York, I grew up with the Police Athletic League, so I know what that's like to be inside of
Brooklyn kid right here. Same here.
Pal. I grew up with Pal, and so for me, after being in special victims, being an officer, detective in special victims, and then giving back all the information that I've learned in special victims to my community, I know all my kids. And I go to the schools, and you're 100% right. It's just that the way things are now and the crimes that are going on, I hate to say this, it's just harder for us as law enforcement to get out there into the community
Oh, yeah.
outside
Oh, yeah.
of a community meeting here
Right.
or church meeting here. There's a lot of things that are going
That are
on.
going on.
You have real detective work to do and can't necessarily do the interpersonal piece
Right.
at the same
However,
time.
some of us do take that time out.
I was about to say yes, because my personal detective.
Yes. There are some of us out there that
Yes.
takes the time to go and talk to the children, talk to people in the community individually, as a matter of fact. So there are some of us that are out there that still do that. And I'm old school police because I've been doing this for 25 years now in July. So for me, it's part of me.
Congratulations.
Well,
That's
thank you.
a long career for a
Yes,
police officer. Thank you
yes,
so
that's
much.
right.
But I want to say something.
Yeah, yeah. Evil E's in the building. He's got a question.
No, not a question. I have a statement.
Statement. Sorry. Go ahead.
Today's youth, the society for today, today's generation, the cops are known, the police officers are known as the bad guy now.
Absolutely.
So he was saying
Absolutely.
in today's society that the police officers are known as the bad guy now.
Right.
Instead of
Well,
Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
what I thought of.
that's because the parents are perpetuating that. Case in point, I'll give you a great example and I'll keep it as brief as possible. We do trunk or treat in Tucker
Right.
on
Every
Tucker
year.
Main Street. And we give candy, we purchase a lot of candy and we give a lot of candy away to children. There are some children that happen to walk up to us and they don't want to ask us for candy. But the parents are going, yeah, just going up there and get you some candy. Oh, what's wrong? And they start to cry. So me being a mom, my motherly instinct is to just go over and hug the baby and just be
Right.
like, oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. And they recoil.
Mm.
And that's because you as a parent
Have placed that
has
fear.
placed that fear in this child. So it's all perpetuated through generations. And it's
Right.
like, and I understand people have bad experiences with police officers. I get it. I do. However, that should not be placed on the child
Right. Right.
because they have to have their own experiences. So,
I have to say,
it's
I
hard.
really like the whole trunk or treat thing.
It's
Like,
awesome.
I usually bring my kids out and they end up helping
Mm-hmm.
because I have big kids. I'm like, you don't need this. Go help them. And my oldest, he loves that. And then the pals, I am a big fan of pals. You know that because he comes out 2 times a week, actually. He
Okay.
comes out Tuesdays and Thursdays, but Tuesday's my day.
Okay.
So he sits in my room with my kids and talk to them. And it takes a minute for them to break down.
Mhm.
It does. Because initially they're like, oh, I don't talk to 12. I don't talk to cops. And I'm like, you better be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And even the ones who have always been like, nah, I ain't got nothing to say because I ain't no snitch.
Right.
After a while, it's like, Miss C, when he coming, I said, I thought you ain't snitch.
Right.
You know.
And it's the way your approach is because you have to build that rapport.
You
Right.
really
Right.
have to.
And then after a while, and I will honestly tell you right now, I have a group of young ladies. I'm teaching them. They're getting ready to graduate. No one has taught them how to do a resume.
Mm.
You're getting ready to graduate from
Yeah.
high school and you don't know how to do a resume.
Right.
So this is what we're gonna do. Even interview skills.
Man.
This is what we're gonna do. So I go through all the steps with them and I teach them. This is what you
Excellent.
need on your resume. I ain't never had no job before. This the answers I get. I ain't never had no job before.
Yeah, that's what.
So I go, what did you do in school? What did you in ROTC? Oh, great, put that down. You were in band, okay, put that down.
Mm.
Just because you didn't have a job doesn't mean you didn't do anything.
Right. Right. Very true. Very true.
So you have to build that rapport because I got that all the time.
Yes.
Trust me. I get
Yes.
that all the time.
Does something need to happen on the legislative side to face this crisis in terms of sex trafficking through Atlanta? Because I see it as a public health crisis all the way around. So what is the governor, what are the mayors doing? You said in DeKalb County, there's not even shelters
Yeah,
for
I'm
his,
still amazed at that.
So, is there who is the authority to go to this to start saying, hey, we need to do stuff?
Every person, every title that you just mentioned, write letters.
Write letters, people.
Write letters. Contact your Senate, Congressman. Write letters because this is affecting not only their physical well-being but their mental well-being as well. So yeah, write as many letters as you can. Call them. Leave messages in their voice box, in their mailbox. Just email them.
I'm going to challenge you who's listening right now to do that exact thing right now. Write a letter to your local senators, to our congressmen, women, and our all of our local elected officials. This is a crisis. It's impacting you. You don't maybe realize it right now, but it is impacting you. You know, just because your child is not being taken or involved in it, or so. But when $33 billion is going to that,
yeah,
right? When we've got 7,000 people,
7,200.
200 people
Like I
out
got
here
all the numbers.
in our vicinity, right here in our local communities involved in this, it's impacting you because it's a domino effect. One day, somehow, some way, it's gonna get to your front door. You know, so let's nip it in the bud now, because guess what? It can get worse before it gets better. So we do need to start things. So that's my challenge to everybody listening to the Empress Lounge right now, is to get involved and write a letter to a local elected official to say that you are concerned and ask them what they are doing about this crisis that's happening right here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes, and we definitely need to talk to our children to, be mindful of their whereabouts, be mindful of these social medias, these cell phones. Just be mindful. All right.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you. You don't even understand how much, I was looking forward to this.
I have learned so much myself from this conversation, and so invaluable. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure being here. I'm glad I could help.
A listener asked, is there someone who is monitoring their letters?
You mean from the elected officials?
I guess so.
I'm sure there is some secretary, intern, or something. They're being monitored.
Listen, write your Congress people, like your elected officials.
Flood them.
Calls. In fact, Toya, what would be a great idea is we kind of maybe make a little list to help people out. Here's the numbers to the particular offices, and we'll post it out there just to make it easier for somebody who would like to, and we're really encouraging everybody to do it, because once they know where the votes come from. Understand? They know who keeps them in that seat.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So call them, knock on their door, go up to their office, meet with them. Just ask a question, because I hope something is in the works, and if not, then they need to be working on it.
Yeah, because this is drastic.
And please know that there are officers, detectives, the GBI, the FBI. They are all out there trying to eradicate this. Please know that. It's just harder. It gets harder every day, but we're still out there doing it.
All right.
And we appreciate
we do appreciate to each and every officer out there who's on the streets or in the office doing what you do to keep us all safe and to make this a better world, better community. We thank you. You putting your lives on the line lots of times for us, and we truly do appreciate that. And we do not want to the bad apples to cast negative dispersions on the entire police force and the officers that are out here sacrificing themselves with their own families that they could be home with a lot of times, and they're out here helping us with our children. So, Officer Weber, once again, thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
So we are about 5 minutes for the top of the hour here on Empress Lounge Show, broadcasting live on DWC Radio, on OneRadio.link, and Industry Rock Radio.
So before we go, we just know we got to make sure we do our quick shout outs. April 5th, Dirty Fridays inside of Bliss Lounge. What else you got coming up, Nebby? Oh, she doing pop-up. Jenna Fridays pop-up, right?
Yeah, pop-up Jenna Fridays.
I can't with her.
You have Big Up DJ
Star's birthday tomorrow. Yes.
Wednesday, help.
Yes, Star, big up yourself. Appreciate the love.
His birthday party will be at Bliss. You have New York State of Mind. You have Slim Girl versus Thick Oz at Elegance on Sunday. Big up,
Which side with the pan?
Oh, obviously, I have to be on the thicker side.
I'm on the thicker side. No.
Ain't nothing slim about me right now. Not yet. No.
But yes, thank you guys for tuning in. We will definitely get that list up. We appreciate each and every one. We will see you next week.
DWC Radio, Ching Ching representing, but that dumb if me not talk. One thing me rate to DWC Radio, them show no weakness, no time. No weakness, no weakness, no weakness. Ching Ching Ching! DWC Radio, no weakness.
No weakness. Stone boy, energy in these times, you have to struggle.
Ching Ching alongside Stone Boy.
Yes, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness. Mr. No weakness, no weakness, no weakness. No weakness, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness. No weakness, I hit a running road. The dance low, come above. And if you can't do it, don't come around. We up in ya, everybody up in ya. Every girl a dance, everybody ever up in ya. Can't do the dance, your finger might broke down. Weakness, like the summer. No weakness, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness. Mr. No weakness, no weakness, no
As you can
weakness,
see, like the safeguards on social
no
media,
weakness,
like, the technology is moving so fast that the security and the safeguards are starting to catch up.
Every day we getting firm and stronger. All negative energy have to stay far. And do the dance about something at the air. Go to not tonight. Move to the girl left, bump and grind. Them mine, that's how we think them design. We love you everyone, we not sure no weakness, no time. Give everyone in their chance. No weakness, walk where you want. No weakness, make we bust it not a dance. No weakness, our grandma dance. No weakness, give everyone in their chance. No weakness, walk where you want. No weakness. Change. No weakness. Stone boy. Energy. In these times, you have to struggle. Money. No weakness. 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 Mr. No weakness. 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 Walk out, park the crowd. No weakness, I hit a running road. The dance low, come above. And if you can't do it, don't come around. We up in ya, everybody up in ya. Every girl a dance, everybody ever cup in ya. Can't do the dance, your finger might broke it out. No weakness, act like the summer. No weakness, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness. Mr. No weakness. Change. No weakness. Stone boy. Energy. In these times, you have to struggle. Money. No weakness. 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 Mr. No weakness. 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 Walk out. Park the crowd. No weakness, I hit a running road. The dance low, come above. And if you can't do it, don't come around. We up in ya, everybody up in ya. Every girl a dance, everybody ever cup in ya. Can't do the dance, your finger might broke it out. No weakness, act like the summer. No weakness, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness, no weakness. Mr. No weakness, 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 no weakness. How where the weakness I got? When I want weakness, boy, every day we getting firm and stronger. All negative energy have to stay far. And do the dance about something at the air. Go to not tonight. Move to the girl left, bump and grind. Them mine, that's how we think them design. We love you everyone, we not sure no weakness, no time. Give everyone in your chance. No weakness, walk where you want. No weakness, make we bust it not a dance. No weakness, our grandma dance. No weakness, give everyone in your chance. No weakness, walk where you want. No weakness, make we bust it not a dance. No weakness, chance not a chance. No weakness, you see the park, yeah. The whole world have to free this. And if you not do the dance, a weakness. Cause every girl in the streets a sweetness. Get there, squad, whole world, we a teach this. No. Chang. No weakness. Stone boy. Energy. In these times, you have.
Hold on there. See, 2019, in 2019, we're not supporting no weakness. We move like incredible out that area. Yeah, amen. We move like Black Panther that area. Yeah, about me say. I'm stronger than a bunch of Panther in that area. What I talk about? Long walk to freedom. No weakness. What do you mean? Ching to the world. Stone boy. Try your favor, speak up yourself every time. Empress Nappy, big up yourself. Ching, talk to them now.
Walk out, party crowd. No weakness, I hit a running road. The dance low, come above.